oh, we shouldn't even try. Let's just coast this one out. I tell you what, it's too dangerous to coast this one out. We cannot coast this one out. Hakeem Jeffries knows if we coast this one out, we lose the majority.
Right.
Spending goes up next fall. He knows the border will stay open, and he knows this is going to demotivate our voters because we've given up. Why should they try?
That's right.
So we are not going to give up. We will fight the uniparty, and we will have this vote next week, and I look forward to it. And I've got one last challenge. Challenge members of my own conference to think long and hard about whether they want to join the uniparty next week. But we have a leadership team, a team of leaders, from conference chair to whip to majority leader. Why do we have a team? We have a team so that when one of them goes off the rails, the others of them can meet with them and say, you are no longer suited for this job. So I challenge the whip, the majority leader, the conference chair, the policy chair, everybody in our conference to sit down with Mike Johnson and have that talk and tell him, it's not worth it, Mike. It's not worth it to share power with Hakeem Jeffries just for the vanity of you keeping the title of speaker. It doesn't serve our country. It doesn't serve our conference. They need to ask him to resign. That is what they should do. And I challenge them to have that tough discussion. In fact, we'll take questions.
It's a privilege. Congressman, it's a privilege.
If this fails next week as expected, will you continue to try to force a vote on this issue? And two, former President Trump has said positive things about the speaker and has said he doesn't favor a motion to vacate. Aren't you defying former president's wishes?
Absolutely not. I'm the biggest supporter of President Trump, and that's why I proudly wear this MAGA hat. I fight for his agenda every single day. And that's why I'm fighting here against my own Republican conference to fight harder against the Democrats. Mike Johnson has fully funded the Department of Justice that wants to put President Trump in jail, giving him a death sentence. He fully funded the FBI that raided Mar-a-Lago and gave them a brand new building. He fully funded Biden's wide open border. I know everybody knows, the American people know, and every voter that's ready to line up and vote for President Trump in November knows between me and Mike Johnson who's supporting President Trump and his agenda. And that is absolutely me, number one. If this vote fails and the whole conference, the whole Congress supports the uniparty, let me tell you something. That is not a failure. It's a win for the American people because that's a list of names. And the voters and the American people who pay for everywhere, we're standing on ground they pay for. They pay for that building. They deserve that list. I believe in recorded votes. That is our job. Our job is to vote. And if anyone is scared of where they're going to vote on a motion to table, or if it goes further, then they don't belong here in Washington. They have to be ready to do the hard job.
Why move forward with this then in defiance of former President Trump, and why next week and not today?
We have to have a Republican majority in January, and under Mike Johnson's leadership, we're not going to have one because Republican voters, just like Thomas Massie just said, Hakeem Jeffries is endorsing Mike Johnson because he knows Mike Johnson's leadership is going to hand the House majority to the Democrats in January. It will make our voters not want to vote for him. They're going to turn out and vote for President Trump top of the ticket, and then they're going to skip Republican House members because they're disgusted with Mike Johnson, his leadership, his speakership in the uniparty. That's exactly why we have to do this. We have to win in November. We have to have a majority in the House. You want to know why? All you people, your taxes are going to go up if the Democrats control the House. That's right. The whole tax cut, President Trump's tax cuts and savings plan, guess what? It expires this year. And whoever controls the House of Representatives, if it's Mike Johnson and Hakeem Jeffries holding hands together, your taxes are going up, ladies and gentlemen. And you want to know what else? Your money is going to be funding Ukraine because they already want more money for Ukraine. They're demanding it already. That check cleared, and it wasn't even a week. And they said Ukraine's going to need more money by the end of the summer. And that's what's going to continue. Americans don't want it. Yes, sir.
Congresswoman.
Next week and not today.
Everybody needs the weekend to prepare. I'm not irresponsible. I care about my conference. I have been measured. I have given this time. I have given warning after warning after warning. And that's why we don't have to rush. We can do it next week.
Congresswoman.
Also, I think this is a somber decision for Mike Johnson. He deserves a weekend to think about it. He should resign because he knows what's coming next week. What's coming is his sharing of power with Hakeem Jeffries. Now, I'm actually not going to concede that the vote will fail. I mean, I think Hakeem had to step out in front and get in front of this freight train because he was afraid he didn't have enough Democrats who would save Mike Johnson. I don't think it's something he wanted to do because now it's going to happen. He is going to embrace Mike Johnson. And the question is, will there be enough Democrats to overcome the Republicans?
States House of Representatives floor. That is complete surrender, doing nothing for our border, but securing the border of foreign countries and continuing to fund the slaughter and the battlefields and the bombs and the horrific injuries and wiping out a full generation of Ukrainian men that will leave women as widows, children as orphans. I'm sorry, the American people don't want to pay for that. If that's what Mike Johnson is for. That we have people. Yeah, go ahead.
So that charge is leveled from Mike Johnson against Marjorie Taylor Greene. You're saying that he said she's not a serious lawmaker. Is that right?
In an interview last night.
Okay, in an interview last night. She's the most serious representative up here. If you listen to the speech that she just gave, she captured exactly what Republicans back home are thinking. They are tired of this swamp. And what does it mean to the Speaker Mike Johnson to be a serious lawmaker? Well, I think it means something different now than it meant 6 months ago or a year ago when he was a rank and file member. Because now to him, being a serious lawmaker means betraying our conference. It means going with the majority of the Democrats and abandoning a majority of Republicans. I don't think that's a serious speaker. I also don't think it's a serious constitutionalist to cast the deciding vote on whether you need a warrant to spy on Americans and getting rid of the warrant provision. So I think he needs to look in a mirror before he criticizes Miss Marjorie Taylor Greene.
To be clear, are you making it privileged?
Yes, sir.
Given the speaker's capitulation recently, ramming through Joe Biden's agenda while betraying constituents, what would the difference? Would there be a difference between Hakeem Jeffries as speaker and Mike Johnson as speaker?
Well, you clearly listen to people more than this town. That's exactly what people are saying everywhere. It's all over the internet and comments. It's being said in coffee shops. It's being said, you go to the town square, that's what people are talking about. They're saying, what is the difference? What is the difference between Mike Johnson and Hakeem Jeffries? People are saying that they see no difference. There is no difference because Mike Johnson is sharing the gavel. They're holding it together. And Mike Johnson is not fighting. He's giving Hakeem Jeffries full power. That's why Hakeem Jeffries has given him the biggest endorsement of his lifetime. And that is the last thing that the American people wanted to see.
By the way, just
Yeah, go ahead.
on that point about sharing power, it wasn't just Hakeem Jeffries who endorsed Mike Johnson. It was their whip,
That's right.
and it was their caucus chair.
That's right.
Their entire leadership team
Yep.
plans on getting a promotion in January thanks to Mike Johnson.
Mhm.
Where is our leadership team?
Mhm.
They need to be as united as Hakeem's team is,
Mhm.
and they need to surround Mike Johnson and say, Mike, it's time to leave.
Congresswoman,
So yesterday,
We called on her first name.
thank you. Congresswoman, last time it took weeks for you all to coalesce around the speaker to even get somebody who wanted to be speaker. So who do you have in mind this time around to prevent Congress from shutting down and not doing its work again?
I'm not naming names, but I think we have people that are capable. Anybody that's willing to fight for our agenda. Anyone that refuses to share the power with Hakeem Jeffries. That's something that we're capable of doing if we decide to do it. This Republican conference can do it. I have watched us do great things. Just as Thomas Massie said, before they ousted Kevin McCarthy, we passed seven separate appropriation bills. We were passing incredible bills that lined up exactly with the reason why people voted for us. And once Mike Johnson took over, he completely stopped it all. We only had 5 left and he just let them go.
Do you want
No,
McCarthy back again?
that's not what I said. I think he's moved on. What our conference is capable of doing is electing someone that is ready and willing to lead. And I have full faith and confidence we can do it. We just have to do it. Yes.
And listen, also from the very beginning, Mike Johnson has had the chance to save us from what happened in October.
Yeah.
Look, he is a lame duck. He's not going to get reelected in January. He's not going to lead us to any policy wins. He's not going to cut any spending. He is not even going to try. That is why Hakeem wants him to remain as speaker. So what should he do at this point? He should do what John Boehner did. Do you remember when John Boehner left? He gave us notice, and instead of not having a speaker, we allowed him to remain speaker while we did, as an extracurricular activity, elect another speaker. It wasn't like it was in October when we came in. We had to come in every day of every week, and we all had the same meeting, and we couldn't. We've collected co-sponsors, and that's why we're giving him one more weekend to think about it.
Yesterday, Watley was here kind of making the pitch that doing this so close to an election would not be good for Republicans. Are you worried about kind of what Julie was saying about doing this so close to an election? It took 3 weeks last time, that this could hurt Republicans come November?
It's like this man said, everyone's saying, what's the difference? There is no difference.
Let me take Carrie.
Okay, just to be sure, I get that you don't want to name names as far as who you're thinking about right now, but the fact of the matter is you have Mike Johnson because Republicans didn't even have a group of names to begin with. So do you have some sort of short list in mind right now? Are you kind of mulling names? Do you have at least a group of people that you're sort of thinking about?
Well, let's be honest. We have Mike Johnson because nobody hated Mike Johnson. Okay. There was nothing in his prior life, or political or private, that qualified him for this job. He is a lost ball in tall weeds. He is unequipped to negotiate with Chuck Schumer. And a lot of people have ideas about why he's betrayed us. I think it's just pretty simple. He's over his head.
So no short list.
And so I would say there are at least a dozen members of our conference who either politically or privately have done things in their life that qualify them to lead. And I'd be willing to consider any of them. And we don't have a list.
What do you say to Republicans who are saying that you guys are playing into the hands of Democrats, that this will cause chaos and disunity, and that they essentially released this statement to provoke you into doing exactly what
that little narrative that you echoed is a lie, and that comes from the Republican establishment that Republican voters are ready to take a sledgehammer to and destroy. They're fed up with it. You want to know why? That's bullshit. It just is. Yes.
A few weeks ago, Congressman Gusar said that he would support the motion to vacate. He's not here today. Do you still have his support?
Oh yeah, absolutely. He just had another thing he had to attend to. Yeah, absolutely.
You've
That roll
defended this
call
motion
vote.
to vacate, saying that you're respecting the conference by holding this back. But how do you explain, it took 3 weeks to elect Mike Johnson as Speaker. How do you explain risking another leadership crisis?
I think that's the same question that we've answered about 4 times now. Do you have a different question?
That, by the way, I'll answer this
Yeah.
again, even though it's been asked.
Yeah.
This is the time to clean house,
Right.
not in October, not in September when he
Absolutely.
betrays us with another CR
That's right.
or an increase, another omnibus. Now is the time to clean house. There is time. I mean, we're not even done with primaries yet. People aren't focused right now on their general elections. They're still trying to win their primaries. This is when we should take out
Yep.
the garbage, take out the trash,
Yep.
solve these problems that we have so that we can be a united conference, so that we can have somebody in the speaker's chair who actually has a credible chance of winning speaker in January. Look, Hakeem and his cohorts and colleagues may bail out Mike Johnson next week. That remains to be seen, whether it's a bluff or not. But we know they're not going to vote for him in January.
No.
And we know that Mike Johnson can't get a majority of Republicans in January. Even our colleagues who aren't co-sponsors of this have privately admitted there is no way in hell they're going to vote for Mike Johnson to be Speaker in January. And so that's why we need to handle it now, put somebody in that seat who can lead our conference and present a united front to Republicans who are going to go vote in November.
Are either of you considering running for speaker?
Everybody, we're going to end the press conference. What I'm calling on is, like my colleague here said, Mike Johnson can do some really, he can pray about it, think about it all weekend, do the right thing and resign, giving our conference time to elect a new leader, a new Speaker of the House. He should reject the endorsement of Hakeem Jeffries and the entire Democrat leadership team. That is not an endorsement that any Republican speaker should ever want or embrace. And this vote will be called next week. And I would just want to urge all our colleagues to prepare for it. It's the right thing to do for America. It's time to clean house and get our conference in order and get ready to support President Trump's agenda. God willing, he wins in November and we take back full power here in Washington in January. Thank you very much, everyone.